What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another King of Fighters All-Star video. And in today's video, we are going to be bidding the Guilty Gear collaboration adieu, as it is going to be the final day for the various events, as well as, most importantly, the banners. So we are going to be going over everything that you need to know in today's video to make sure that you are prepared for this collaboration to end. And we are also going to be finishing off our summons on the Guilty Gear banners using some of those tokens that we had acquired from the Badguy gotcha. But before we get into all of that and more, make sure if you guys haven't already done so, you smash that like button and subscribe if you enjoy daily King of Fighters All-Star content such as this. And let's go ahead and get into today's video. Alright, you guys, so as I mentioned, the Guilty Gear events as well as some of these in-game currencies are going to be ending today, so you need to make sure that you are prepared for that and that you are not sleeping on your dailies today, because this is going to be your final opportunity to be able to finish some of these events if you have not already done so, as well as being the final day for you to use up some of this currency. And I just wanted to go ahead and give you guys a brief rundown so that way you knew exactly what you needed to be prepared for. So the first thing that obviously you're going to need to know about this stuff is all of these events are going to be going away, as I mentioned. That basically means in a nutshell that you guys are going to need to make sure that if you have not finished any of these events respectively, you need to make sure that you do that today. That is going to include all of the different events that you guys see here. So if you haven't finished things such as the Gear Project Tower or the Rush Dungeon or so on and so forth, first of all, what's wrong with you? And second of all, you have one last day to do this. So make sure that you guys are getting this stuff done. Do keep in mind the timer on all this stuff and adjust accordingly for whatever time zone you are in, but this is stuff that you need to make sure that you finish up today. I cannot stress that enough. Now, some stuff here that you'll want to pay attention to. Obviously, all these events are going to be going away, and we can pretty much tell that right here, but if you go over here to this little clock up in the top left-hand corner, you are going to see the different currencies that are also going to be going away. So that is going to mean that we are no longer going to be able to craft those boxes for those Star and those Moon Imprint Stones, which we'll talk about momentarily, the Rush Dungeon event coins, the event coins for the Badguy dungeon. All these different things are going to be going away, including your tokens, because obviously the banners are also going to be leaving. So basically all these different currencies are going to be taken away, so you guys need to make sure that you are using this stuff up today. So that is basically going to mean, if we go over here, speaking of the Rush Dungeon event, I do want to talk about that real quick here. Make sure that you do your final clears, especially for Chapter 1 and the EX chapter today, so that way you get that 100 rubies total for clearing those. But another thing that you need to keep in mind, if you guys have not picked up any of the things that you planned on getting from here, today is the last day for you to do it, so make sure that you guys go through here and pick up everything that you want. I plan on going in here today and just using up all this currency, because as we just saw, the Rush event coins are going to be going away. So basically all this stuff in here that you can afford, make sure you pick it up. But the biggest thing that you need to focus on is you need to make sure that you get the cards that were in here. Specifically, you need to get the set. You need to make sure that you at least get one of the Badguy finishers. I would recommend trying to get all of them if you've grinded this thing hard enough, but at least make sure that you get one, because this is how you are going to be able to pick up his finisher. So that's very, very important. That Ramlethal memory, you'll also probably want to pick that up. So there's quite a few things in here that you should have been making sure that you are grinding for. Make sure that today you guys exchange whatever you intended on buying from here, because again, this is going to be the final chance for you to do so. So speaking of final chances, which is the theme of today's video, another thing that you need to make sure that you do is you need to make sure that you craft your boxes. So this was one of the unsung heroes of these events. This was one of the best events from this entire collaboration, and this is one of the best ways we've ever had to pick up gold versions of these Star and these Moon Stones. However, these things are going to be only craftable up through today, but you will have 7 days to open them. So that's something to keep in mind. You don't don't need to open these boxes today, but you need to make sure that you make them today, if that makes sense. So make sure that you craft them. You don't need to open them, but you need to make sure that you craft them before the end of the event. Otherwise, you are not going to be able to pick these things up. So in the end, you guys, that's pretty much what you need to know. You just need to make sure that you guys use up all these currencies. You need to make sure that you use your tokens if you planned on summoning. You need to make sure that you go through and finish all these various events, because again, all this stuff is going to be going away. So make sure you guys do that. Now, one other thing that I will point out here, if you guys haven't already done so, go through your codex, and if there's a character that you had been holding off on building, you may want to do that today, and that way you can pick up some of these different items, because these items here were really nice. So if this stuff is stuff that you guys planned on getting, make sure that you do it today. Otherwise, you're probably going to do it after the fact, when you could have just done it today if you had the resources available, and then you'll have missed out on these rewards. So make sure that you keep that in mind as well. So one last thing that I want to go ahead and point out here is if you guys go over to your items and you take a look here, you're going to probably have a bunch of these Imprint Stone boxes for the Guilty Gear Imprint Stones. So with these, you actually also have 7 days on these, so you don't necessarily have to worry about opening those today. However, you are going to need to make sure that you open them up before the 7-day timer runs out. So for those of you who are unaware, you can actually go over here to your inventory tab, and if we scroll through here, you'll be able to check from here, because you can't actually check from the previous menu we were just in. For whatever reason, Netmarble hasn't ever updated that to where you can conveniently just check those things. But if you go down here, you're going to see here's our Imprint Stone boxes, and it does say 7 days remaining, so you don't necessarily have to worry about those. Now, when it comes to pity tickets, I don't have one, so I'm not entirely sure. I know that pity tickets habitually for collaborations have differed from things such as the SS banners or the BS banners. So for instance, you'll see I do still have an SS battle card selector from volume 3 here that I've never used. However, when it comes to the collaborations, I do believe that those go away, but I'm not entirely sure on the timing. I don't know if you can select those kind of like with these boxes for 7 days, or if they go away tonight. So if you guys have those laying around, double check them or redeem them tonight just to be safe, because otherwise I'm not entirely sure what the time frame is as far as when you can exchange those. So keep that in mind as well. So with all that being said, guys, to summarize, basically just go through here today and make sure that you guys give yourself enough time to finish up all this stuff. Make sure that you redeem anything you need to redeem. Double check and make sure that you don't have any of these currencies that are going to be going away, and make sure if you do that you use them up, especially if you have tokens for these banners. But with all of that being said, you guys, if you haven't gotten any of this content and you're still trying to figure out whether or not you want to pull for it, today's the last day, so make sure that you guys go through and do this, because if you're planning on pulling, you are going to need to do it today, and I do highly recommend for those of you out there that have the ability to do so, that you go ahead and pick these characters up, as well as these cards. But speaking of picking up characters and cards, I figure now is a good time. We can go ahead and start pulling on these using these tokens. I do have several of these saved up, so this will be time that we ever go in on a Guilty Gear banner. Pretty sad stuff. I hate to see it go, but man, this was one hell of a collaboration. You know, we've talked about it numerous times here on the channel already. This was one of the best, if not the best, collaborations we have ever had in this game, as far as a power creep standpoint is concerned, as well as just from an overall quality standpoint. This was an amazing overall collaboration. The events were super generous. Everything about this thing was something that I think Netmarble needs to use in the future and build off of, as I go ahead and get some really nice card pulls here potentially, so we'll see what we get. I don't even know at this point. Oh, there's another Baiken finisher. That's pretty cool. And another... What have I said, guys? Baiken loves me. By the way, I am still a little bit under the weather, so if it sounds like it, it's because I am. Alright, so we got the crit one, which we already had, and then we got the crit one, which again, we already had. So, awesome. Well, hey, it is what it is. Well, that's one way to finish the card banner, right? So, alright guys, so next up here, we're going to go ahead and go in on the fighters. I do have several summons here I can do, so yeah, overall that Saul Badguy banner was pretty nice. One other thing that I do want to point out to you guys is, for whatever reason, they decided decided to end the Baiken guild raid early, so if you go in there today, you're going to notice that the Baiken guild raid is no longer available. So if you guys were planning on doing that today to try and get some more coins towards your Saul Badguy gotcha, then unfortunately that is no longer going to be available. I'm not entirely sure why Netmarble went ahead and pulled that one early compared to some of this other stuff, but I guess it is what it is, you know, it's Netmarble doing Netmarble things. Holy mother of God. Okay, I need a dizzy here. That would change a lot. All right, well, that's a May. It's gonna be double May, you watch. Oh, no, we got another Ramlethal. Holy crap, that was crazy. Well, we weren't gonna get that lucky, right? I'm actually almost a pity again, good lord. What are we looking at here? So I'm almost a pity there, that's funny. Well, I will never be there because I'm not doing it. All right, well, these are the last ones, you guys, but in general, you guys, make sure that also if you have any of those extra memories from any of these characters, kind of like I just got there, that you go ahead and you make sure that you use those up. Make sure that you go ahead and try to get that SS generic memory as well in the combine function over there in your memories, because you're going to want to make sure that you get those as well if you haven't already done so. But I think that is going to do it, you guys. That is going to be the end of the Guilty Gear collaboration. So I am going to be continuing to cover this content here on the channel over the course of the next week. I have a couple more spotlights that I need to do, so that is stuff that you guys can look forward to. But when it comes to the actual in-game events, as well as these banners, they are going to be leaving us. So it was definitely nice having this stuff around. Oh, one last thing before I forget. I should probably talk about this real quick. So the Guilty Gear Battle Passes are also going to be going away today, so if you are still on the fence, yes, you can buy these right now and potentially get all the rewards. It does not matter. So basically, what you would want to do is you would want to take a look here, but you can go ahead, if you take a look here on the side, it'll tell you what you get upon unlocking it, and as you guys can see, I would get everything upon purchase, so you guys can do that if you want to. That is something you can keep in mind if you're planning on buying that. Today's the last day, but you can get all the rewards if you still want to do that. So anyway, you guys, that is pretty much going to do it for today's video. I hope you found it informative. If you did, make sure that you smash that like button and subscribe. Again, make sure that you guys go through and do all this stuff today, but good luck if you are doing any last minute summons, and I will see you guys in the next video. You all take care. Peace.
Continue.